about Comcast being punished for charging customers for channels they didn't want, and then why U.S. kids are some of the least fit in the world and how to change it, and then a good news story about a granddaughter who is kept from foster care by her grandmother, who took in this girl and her siblings, and she wants to thank Grandma, and she's thanking her because she won $10,000 in one of those contests where you make a basket. Hey, Tony, how are you?
Good morning. I'm fine, Angie. How are you on this great day?
I am exhausted. I've been waking up at 2 and that cuts at least an hour out of my sleep. And so I'm not feeling too hot. But this Comcast story is interesting to me because I feel like to get, let's say I want to watch SpongeBob SquarePants for my kids. Then I feel like I have to get some of these channels in the package that I certainly don't want to support and don't want my kids watching. And I don't like that bundling of lots of different channels in when you want to get Disney or something.
Well, very quickly, I went to, as you know, I just moved and I got a cable package and I've been here long enough now to know what I'm watching, what I'm not. So I called the cable company and said, listen, I'm not watching any of the movie channels. What can I do? And they said, absolutely nothing.
Oh my
Let me explain to
gosh.
you what the deal is.
Except get rid of you, cable.
Well, they said you can get rid of your movie channels, but we throw those in. They throw in HBO, Angie.
Okay.
They throw in stars, but I don't want them. And if I get rid of them, which I can do, it doesn't change my total bill. So a bunch of viewers sued Comcast, and I'm not necessarily pointing out them. It's just the stories about them. They're not the only ones that do this. And the courts have said, if people want to opt out, you need to give them a financial incentive to do that. And we'll see what happens. The story just broke today.
Well, I think people are just moving away from cable and they're doing things like Netflix and Hulu and other things. The stick that Amazon offers or Apple TV. So I think that they're going to pay the price for not giving people what they actually want to pay for, because many of us don't want to pay for some of the naughtier type channels like an FX or something. I don't want FX.
You think that's a naughty channel?
Well, for my kids. What's that one show,
kids.
that biker show, and they had really kind of lewd stuff in it.
Sons of Anarchy.
Yeah, I don't want that. I don't want it.
I understand. But you do have parental controls on your cable box, sweetheart.
Whatever. I can barely reach that thing. My husband's got that so set in the wall and trying to figure it all out. Oh, please. All these controls that parents allegedly have. We're just trying to get to 4, different practices in one night with swim team and volleyball, basketball, and soccer. I don't know. It's all great in theory, but it half the time doesn't get done. Let's be honest.
It's so funny you say that because I make a to-do list every day, and there are days that I'll have something on my to-do list, like set favorite channels on the remote. I have yet to do that. I've got time to sit there and set favorite channels, right?
I'm with you. Same thing with parental controls. That sounds good in theory, and I'm sure there's some, a lot of real techie nerds that do everything they're supposed to, but I don't. All right, why U.S. kids are some of the least fit in the world. That's one thing that we are really good about. I usually get my 10 to 15,000 steps in a day because I'm at so many practices, so I walk. But this professor of kinesiology at the University of North Dakota, he says American kids are some of the least fit in the world, and the most important type of fitness is aerobic, apparently, being able to exercise vigorously for a long time. And basically, we're at the bottom of the pack. Mexico's last, right? And then you've got Peru and Latvia, and then the U.S. So we're way at the back of the pack. In the middle of the pack, Canada and the U.K., and then near the front of the pack in terms of the fittest kids, Japan, Norway, Estonia, and also Tanzania. But we are way at the back. Only a couple of countries behind us. And a lot of it has to do with the techie, the tech stuff. The kids are staying in and not exercising as much. And a lot of parents don't kind of force some of this aerobic activity on their kids. I wouldn't say I force it, but I've signed them up for a few sports that they didn't volunteer for. Let's put it that way. And then they ended up enjoying it. But if they hated it, then I'd put them in something else, or we'd go biking or do, play a sport within the family or something. But right now, we are in 4 sports. And they love it.
Well, the NFL started a couple of years ago something called Play 360, and what that is that, or I think, or Play 60. What that is that they're asking kids to play outside 60 minutes a day.
That's
Uh,
nice.
and to do something good, play basketball or play dodgeball. Angie, I go back to, listen, I'm 55 years old. I understand I'm ancient to some of your listeners, but we didn't have games. We didn't have the internet. We had each other. We
Right.
had a field where we played baseball or a
Right.
mound of dirt that we would dig into and get home, and mom would go, "Oh my God, get in the tub now."
Right.
It was a different time. I get that, but we still live in the same world. It's not like we can't have our kids
Well,
out
this is
biking.
we're supposed to do. 150 minutes weekly for you and I, and then the kids, just like you just said, 60 minutes daily of moderate to vigorous exercise. Now, on Thursdays, my kids have an hour and a half of swimming, and then at least an hour. One has soccer, and the other has baseball for an hour and a half. So he has 3 hours of sports. Plus, after school, I let him play on the playground for about 20 minutes, and they have 2 recesses. So that kid probably gets on Thursdays 4 or 5 hours, which sounds crazy, but they also say interval training. So you go fast, slow, fast, slow. Like maybe you have your kid sprint a block and then you walk a block. And that's good for us as well. Tony
But
Tripiano, tnztalk.com. Thank you, my friend.
we'll get to good news tomorrow. But it's always good news to be with you, Angie
Aw,
Austin.
thank you. Hey, WikiLeaks dumped some more emails. We'll talk about that later in the show. And then we've also got, politics. Poor kid.
The new producer?
Oh, just way behind, and he doesn't know how to
All right, we're live in 10.
Okay. I felt sorry for him. Okay, that probably just went on the stream, didn't it?
Here we go.
We're down.
And the stream is on.
It's just a matter of time before we learn how to fly. Welcome to the rhythm of the night.
You're listening to Daybreak USA.
Hey, Angie Austin here on Daybreak USA. I love to share a little good news with you, but many of these good news stories don't start off as good news. And Dawn Grace's son, Kalen, he thought that this gun didn't work anymore, and he accidentally shot himself. Now, she was offended when they asked for his organs to be donated. I mean, downright angry and offended when she was asked. But she felt that her son wanted to donate his organs. Like, this came to her later, and she finally gets to meet the man that has Kalen's heart.
An emotional meeting at Nebraska Medicine Thursday evening.
How you feel?
Best I've felt all my life.
Dawn Grace finally met the man who has her son's heart.
But I can hear it.
Can you?
On Friday afternoon, Grace got an even better listen.
It's so peaceful.
Exactly 4 years ago today, Joe gained life. Kalen gained everlasting life.
In 2012, 14-year-old Kalen Grace of Kentucky accidentally shot himself with a gun he thought was broken. Kalen did not survive.
We were asked to donate, and I was very angry.
Grace said she had no intention of donating her son's organs until he came to her in a vision.
He said, "Mama, what would I do? This is not about you."
Grace decided to donate, and hundreds of miles away, Joe Hansen of Council Bluffs was given a second chance at life.
When I open my wallet, he's the very first thing I see when I open my wallet. And him and I, we talk quite a bit.
55-year-old Hansen and Kalen have become one thanks to organ donation.
Kalen's happy.
Yep, he's happy, I'm happy.
And Grace have corresponded for years but never met. Both sides needed time to heal. They say finally meeting on the 4-year anniversary of the transplant was the perfect time.
I mean, I feel blessed. I feel thankful.
Well, she feels thankful, and boy, he certainly feels blessed. And I think it's really important that he keeps that picture of Kalen right there in the front of his wallet so he can, remember the gift that was given to him for this second chance. Hey, John, Colin Kaepernick is getting his first start of the season, the NFL quarterback who started, as we all know, the protest movement by kneeling during the national anthem to protest racial injustice, will start Sunday. San Francisco 49ers coach Chip Kelly has named Kaepernick as starting signal caller today after the team suffered a fourth straight loss behind Blaine Gabbert. So he's replacing him.
Exciting. He's back in the game. No more taking knees.
I'm sure he'll still take a knee.